This is a Mansour 2-horse treadmill. You put 2 draft horses in there, took the brake off on the side, and they started walking. And in this case, we're powering a corn sheller with it, but it would actually power an elevator or any type of relatively small horsepower tool. It's a Joliet corn sheller. It's a wooden corn sheller. I've only seen 1 or 2 like it. It's primarily all wood and that. And next to it, I've got a box wagon that is really quite unique because it has a scissors type lift on it. And it used an old railroad jack to raise and lower the scissors. And in its day, this would be quite a modern thing. This basically was versus a box wagon with a shoveling board. And that just basically, you just opened the end gate and used the end gate to control the flow and ratchet the wagon up a little bit for a little bit steeper angle. This is a wagon right here. It's a Gistering wagon. It's been in our family for practically forever. It was my great-great-grandpa's wagon, and that he hauled potatoes in it to the St. Louis market, and like I say, it's been in our family for forever, really.
Now it has a gear on the side. That's to...
That would be to run like an end gate spreader. This is a Newton box wagon right here. It was sold out of a dealer from Omaha, Nebraska. Emerson Bradigan Company, which was a popular name in farm equipment. They basically own Newton. Next to this here is a piece I'm real proud of. It's a PM Gunlock shock mover. Basically, you backed up to the shock and tilted those arms back and cranked the shock down on those arms there and moved the shock to the barn, and then you used the fodder for bedding and you used the grain for feed, but you took all those shocks that you made out in the field and brought them to the barn with it. Back here in this row, first of all, a town and country wagon. Basically is used as a wagon to haul goods from town, or it wasn't much of a box wagon, it was just basically a wagon to haul items. It's got wooden fenders on it, which is real unique, and they're original fenders yet. And that it's unusual to see wood yet that's in that kind of shape. Next to this is a belly dump dirt wagon. And basically, the only thing we could salvage out of this was the irons. We put all new wood and basically totally rebuild it and that. But in its day, this was a very, very modern wagon. You basically crank these doors shut and you filled your wagon. And then when you got to where you wanted to dump, you push this pedal here on the floor and the doors open up and you dump the load. These are primarily Lister plows. This is a slat bottom plow right here, and this was used predominantly for sticky black soils or clay soils where the moldboard wouldn't scour properly and that. And when you had the slats out, you put twice the amount of square inches of pressure on the slatted part right here, and it would have a better chance of scouring in those sticky soils. These 2 plows right here are early prairie plows. This one here is a little later. It's actually got a rolling cutter on it. Might not have actually come with a rolling cutter, but somebody's added it. The one next to it doesn't have a rolling cutter. It's actually got like a knife, and I'm sure that was better than the no holder at all, but it had to present some problems when you were in grass. But that was basically when the prairie was settled, this was what we had to plow with. And this bar on the side, when you got to the end, you flopped the plow over and it rolled on that bar while you made your headland and came back again. This is a smaller pony plow. Here again, this is a John Deere, an original John Deere, you can see there. It's a Lister plow and that, another pony plow, followed by another pony plow. This is basically a little plow you'd use in the garden for putting in a row, whether it be peas or whatever, and that was just a hand cultivator. This is a horse-drawn cultivator, and basically you steered it with your hands. You move the shovels in and out, and if your horse was a little off to the side, and that you could move your shovels to get back and forth. Totally wooden frame, except for the steel up there on the wheels and that, but a very, very early cultivator. This row of shellers is predominantly John Deere shellers. I rescued several of these out of in pieces and put them back together. And this is an Economy 10 John Deere. I think it was sold out of St. Louis, Missouri here. This is a New Idea sheller right here. A McCormick. This is an old cast iron sheller. This is a pretty rare sheller right here. When you got your good ears, you'd throw those ears out, put them in that sack. You'd put them on one of those to dry it good, keep them away from the mice. And then since it was open pollinated, not hybrid, kind of what you saw is what you were going to get. Today, if you had hybrid corn, what you saw wouldn't be what you'd get. If you tried to replant hybrid corn, it would grow, but it wouldn't be anything like the parent stock would be. And then, now you had a Duke's mixture of kernels. The ones on the ends would be the rounds, and the ones in the middle would primarily be flats, and the ones on the end would be kind of a Duke's mixture. Small rounds, large rounds, whatever. And then you'd run them through that grater, which is right there behind you, and that would basically separate them by size. You'd have your rounds, your flats, and then you would, if you had a set of plates for one of those planters, you'd have a round plate, a flat plate, large rounds, small rounds. This is an apple cider press right here. These are wine barrels. This was a strainer. This was actually off of our family's wine press right here. It's been in the family for over 100 years, and we used this for years to make wine. This is something that's quite unique right here. This is an iceless well cooler, and a lot of farmers just used a bucket and they cranked it down the well to keep your cream or some of the goods you had in the house that wouldn't fit in the ice box cool. But this basically was for that particular job. You kept your pie, your butter, your cream, milk, anything like that you wanted to keep cool, and this basically kept it at ground temperature because it was probably 25, 30 foot, not in the water, but right above the water. And you cranked it up and down at mealtime to get what you needed out of basically your iceless cooler. And then after lunch was over, you put it back in the well. Over here we have wooden chicken coops, wooden or steel chicken feeders. Up above here, we have brooder nests where basically you kept a setting hen with a nest full of eggs so the coons wouldn't get them. Two different kinds of those right here. This is a harness vise right here. Basically, you strapped your harness, the part you were going to work in, right up in here. You sat on it like this. That took the pressure off. You snapped them shut like this, and you worked on your harness where you were going to stitch it or rivet or whatever you're going to do. It's a harness vise. This is a Lansing box wagon. This is a Birdsell box wagon. Here, Birdsell made several different things, but were well known for thrash machines, and Birdsell was very well known for its clover huller. They sold a lot of clover hullers. This is kind of unique right here. This is a livestock wagon. Basically, if you had hogs or sheep to haul and you had to get them to market, you needed a way to get them there. And basically, this is how you did it. You know, you run them in this end. It had a top on it so they couldn't jump out. And you took them to market. And haven't seen many of these at all. This is another belly dump dirt wagon. Pretty original yet. Most of the wood and the felloes and the spokes and the hubs are all original on it yet. Basically, you kicked the lever here and tripped it and the bottom fell out, and you dumped your load of dirt or coal or gravel, whatever it was. This is a hay tedder. And hay tedders aren't uncommon, but this one is uncommon because It's almost all totally wood. All the kicker arms on it are wooden. It's a wooden frame, a wooden tongue. And what's really unique about it is you use this lever right here and you're actually pulling the gear mechanism, the frame, into these bull gears on the wheel. And it's very crude, but very simple and evidently worked very well.